Dude, I was so dumb when I was a kid, which is a great thing to bring up. So I was a dumbass when I was a kid, Cecil. You probably was a dumbass too when we were teenagers. Just dumber. I think
you ain't doing so great as an adult, Cam. I mean,
when I was 13 to 16, 18 even, I was a dumb son of a bitch. I remember thinking back to then, I'm like, God, I was stupid. How did I even make it this far in life? And then I realized that there's children out there there's children currently right now out there being pushed by psychiatrists, doctors, and their own parents into like changing their gender.
Yeah.
That is insane, dude. The reason I say that is not because of the children, their state of mind or their life.
No,
I just put myself in the situation, and I'm like, God,
your brain is not working at that age. It's insane. It's insane. It's like, yeah, we are living in a time where they have to make laws, and states are making laws that you can't do sex changes on like children.
Yep.
And it's like, we had to write a law for this? Like, is this really how far we've gotten? Like, and then the states that are doing it, people are like, they're monsters. They're just like Hitler for fucking stopping sex. It's like, and here's the thing. It's like the criteria. I mean, I grew up in New York, so I knew, gay, trans people my whole fucking life.
Yeah.
But when a trans person was a trans person, you actually knew they were, because even though they were 30 years old, it took them 6 years to get approved for the fucking, and these were adults. People in their 30s would have to wait 6 years and go through psychological batteries and all this shit before they would ever get the approval for the surgery.
Yeah.
Now they're like green lighting fucking infants.
Yeah, it's like that one guy.
Insane.
There was a man on TikTok, and he's like huge on TikTok, obviously, because it's TikTok. Yeah. And he's like, my son came up to me and had a doll in his hand. He's 3 years old, and he's like, and I looked at him and I was like, "Are you a girl?" And his son looked at me and with a smile on his face, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, you're a girl." And ever since then, he's lived his life as a girl. And I'm like, "Oh my God, he's 3 years old." I walked around with Barbies when I was a kid, and I made him get naked and like smash and shit. Yeah.
It's like, oh, look, what's your favorite color, Johnny? Pink. Cut his dick off. Stat. Yeah. Fucking what?
There has to be some kind of regulation. And look, I have no problem with anybody from that group.
Here's the thing. The parents are the mentally ill ones, because they're fucking, well, that was like, I mean, this is not an original thought, but it's the Munchausen by proxy is probably, there's probably no cases of it anymore, because they're all just doing the trans thing.
Yep.
There's probably none of that, like poisoning your kids. They're just like, I want attention for something with my kid. Trans. It's like, so my daughter likes playing with trucks. Where, when are we scheduling her mastectomy?
Yeah, it is literally just for the attention that the parents get, because the parents, when they start doing this, they'll start posting it all over social media as hard as
this is a badge of honor, like, I'm a trans parent. I'm like, fuck. It's like,
like the percentage of people that are maybe born intersex or fall into that category for the last 50 years, right, was like below 1%, way below it. And suddenly during Gen Z, like of last year, it's 20%. That is impossible. Like, it's not. It's the gothic kids, but you can wipe off eyeliner, but you can't reattach your freaking tits, man.
Now there's a girl, and she's getting like death threats and everything. I mean, it was weird. When I was driving down to DC to meet up with Alex Stein when we like raided Congress and did that whole thing. And I had YouTube on autoplay. And one of the things that came up was Jordan Peterson interviewing Chloe Cole, who's 18-year-old girl who's detransitioning. They transitioned her when she was like 13, gave her a double mastectomy, the whole thing. And then when she like hit like 16, 17, she's like, I'm not a boy, I'm a girl. Like, and then now she's 18. So I listened to like this 2-hour interview just by chance. I wasn't planning on it. It literally came up on autoplay and it was interesting. So I listened, and it was a tough listen because it was, it's a hard story. We go to DC, fucking who's out on the street? Marjorie Taylor Greene and that girl from the interview.
Yeah.
They're doing a fucking thing. So I went right up to her and got into a conversation. I'm like, this is very strange. I just listened to your interview, blah, blah. So poised. I had a conversation with her, 18 years old, and just like went through hell. And now she's trying to help kids from this happening, and they are fucking attacking her. There are like riots when she goes to talk. They're like, they want to kill her.
Yeah.
They want to kill her for telling people, hey, maybe, you know, it was too young. Like nobody ever said, like, are you sure you want to do this? They just went right to her parents and said, she's going to kill herself if she doesn't get transitioned into a boy.
Yeah,
and the parents didn't know what to do. Like they just go along with it. Like,
who was the loud ones? Those are the very, very important here. By the way, Ashley, I love you for you, gold boy. Thank you, baby. And Bean T, I love you. Ashley, thank you, by the way, for being in locals and in here. Who is the people that are mad? So you have this 13-year-old girl gets a double mastectomy. Keep in mind, 6 months ago, everybody was saying, oh, that doesn't happen. Now they're saying, oh, well, it helps them. It shows that their suicide rate actually drops. So who are the loud people? So if a kid
they're anarchists that really just want society, family structure, everything to be destroyed.
Yeah.
And if you could destroy a kid's basic understanding of what a boy and a girl is, there's no better way to disrupt society. I mean, that's it. They're just trying to shake society to rubble. And the best way to do it is to attack the kids.
The funny thing is, to my point is, when somebody detransitions or somebody is not for it, or a kid is against or for it, who are the people that are making the tweets, that are making the videos, that are loud about it? It's always the parents or the guardians. They're the ones that are controlling all of the legal standing that's happening right now. It's the parents. It's not the kids. The kids, I mean, before, if your kid wanted to do something, you just told them to shut the hell up. Now there's parents advocating for these things for children. And the main issue is, if you take a normal nuclear family like that just exists, it ends up, there's generally speaking, you'll have a success, you'll have, better grades, you'll have a better career, you'll have a better upbringing. This is just how it is, with the nuclear family, mom and dad. So, but if you take a family that happens to be two trans parents, which is funny to say, transparent, but two trans parents, the odds of one or more of their kids being trans is like 95%.
Yeah, because they
didn't choose it at all. It's the parents are choosing it for them.
Right. Someone just said what I was going to say. It's like a vegan cat. We all know who's making the decision. It's like we all know who's making the decision, and it's not the cat. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, you see a trans 3-year-old, and it's like, give me a fucking break. Like, and it's so ridiculous that we can't call it out. And the people who are calling out, which is just common sense, are being labeled like hateful, and it's fucking nuts. We are in. No one could believe how far we've fallen. Like the fact that people are flipping out that states are now writing into law, you can't give chemical castration to little boys. It's like, and they're like, they're like thrashing on the ground, like this is a sin again. Like, how can we live like this if we can't fucking castrate little kids?
Yeah, it's like, dude. And the issue is, when I was 13, by the way, Sonia, I love you. Fidelio, love you. When I was 13. Dude, like, I wanted to be like a NASCAR driver, and I would have done anything in my power to get to that point when I was 13. And obviously I got to 18 and I started working full time, and that was not a thing anymore. That was like, obviously it's not a thing. And that's basically how it is now. It's kids wake up one day and they're like, you know what? I want to be a girl. I'm 11 years old. I want to put on a dress today because somebody at my school did, or some teacher said it, or somebody on TV said it, or people on TikTok are doing it every day, and it's getting fed to them through the algorithm. And instead of saying, no, you're not going to do that, they schedule them, and they're suddenly on hormone blockers without any notice. And
they don't even tell the parents that they're doing it.
Nope, they do not. Yes, Darren Muth, by the way, Naked Snake is tonight, 50 away. But and it's really frustrating because, I'm pretty much okay with anything. Like I said, I have no problem with anybody that's trans. I don't care about any of that, dude. I hold the belief that let people do what they want to do, but like, there has to be a hard line drawn at 18 for almost anything. Good. And if we're not going to follow that, then laws have to be made. And like,
they played the long game though, and they won. They took over entertainment.
Yep.
And the schools.
Yep.
And the people on the right were like, let them have it. Let them have it. We'll get them like common sense. We'll get them at like, it's too late. Like I'm just looking at this thing. I wrote a tweet. I'll share it in a second. I wrote a tweet today. It was from the whatever podcast.
Yeah.
And it was a panel of what, 5 or 6 girls, and they none of them, and they're young, 20 years old, maybe.
I saw this.
They were literally scared out of their fucking minds to define what a woman was. So I wrote, my comment was, these women will never be able to stand up for their own children. They will do whatever the government instructs them to do to them. They would feed their kids into a meat grinder if it meant avoiding being called a bigot. They're complete zombies afraid to think for themselves. They would do triple boost, quadruple boost. They would fucking, but these are the zombies. This is the mindset. Like, if they would sacrifice their kid to avoid being called a bigot, like, or stand out. And I think that's what we've done to this society. Is when you talk about women not being loyal or whatever, and they're 80% of divorces are just because they decide one day, I'm not happy.
Yeah.
What's the first thing we're teaching girls now is abortion, like, is like, even young kids in high school. I know I have like nieces and like, they that at a young age, like, oh, it's a right. And it's like, what is the strongest instinct a woman has, which is to protect their kid?
Yeah.
They have obliterated that from women. They're like all about abortion rights before they even develop a maternal instinct. Yep. They are. So if you could get a girl to fucking betray a biological fucking, that's something that's so biologically ingrained, which is to protect the children. You could get at an early age for them championing abortion. All other fucking commitments mean nothing.
Yep.
What is a commitment to a man if you're willing to kill your own baby? Like, that's why fucking the marriage rates are fucking like commitment. There is no commitment. If you could get somebody to deny their own biological nature, you own them.